Heyo, time for more typical opinions. Before we start, for those who are wondering about the attire change, I fully explained that in this video here. From the previous episode, I was quite surprised that there weren't any people going on a full rant about me being wrong about the kunai. In fact, most seem to agree with my points. In this episode, we're going to be talking about one of, if not my all-time favorite weapon to use in TC2, the Rejuvenator. As a doc main, it's my responsibility to keep my teammates alive, and this helps out a lot, especially with how fast it's able to heal compared to stock. I'm also quite dedicated to using the Rejuvi. How dedicated, you ask? Well, I got this defense zone on February 24th of this year, and I'm on my way to becoming British. That just shows how much I love this thing. But is it the best of the mediguns?
No, of course not. It's definitely not.
Invulnerability.
Obviously, being more focused on healing has some downsides to it, and that's shown with its stats. The Rejuvenator is a secondary weapon for Doctor. It's a medigun that has a higher focus on healing than stock, and its stats are a part of its TF2 counterpart, the Quick Fix. Because it focuses more on healing, it has a 40% faster healing rate. The Rejuvi also has a unique ability to mirror blast jumps and shield charges, meaning you can perform the movement as well with your patient. It also charges Uber 10% faster than stock, which may not seem like much at first glance until you see its downside, being a 50% overheal penalty. Meaning the maximum that you can heal someone is 125% of their health. For those who already know how the Uber build rate works on mediguns, you already see the benefit of this. But for those who don't, I'll explain. The rate at which mediguns build Uber decreases once a patient's overheal reaches a certain threshold, which is at 142.5% of the max 150% overheal. The Rejuvi doesn't reach that threshold, so it always builds at the normal rate, unless you're healing someone who has close to max overheal from another doctor or other weapons that give overheal. The Rejuvi's Uber charge is known as Mega Heal. It instantly triples the healing rate on your patient, as well as providing that same healing on yourself. The wiki says you also get the Rejuvi's worth of overheal on yourself like in TF2 while it's active, but that's not true. On top of tripling your healing, you also gain immunity to all forms of knockback, meaning you no longer get tossed around, mainly from explosions and especially air blast, which is a common counter to a stock Uber push. Now, you may think that you can't be harmed all that much with a much faster healing rate, but no. The weakness of the Mega Heal is high burst damage, so high amounts of damage from stuff like rockets and pipes will take you down quickly. Arsonist flamethrowers also make it harder to stay alive because of the heal penalty you have when on fire, as well as if you get hit by the Einsteinium. The biggest things you still have to worry about are marksmen, agents, and crits, as these can and will take you out in one hit. When compared to the other mediguns in terms of fighting one another with their Ubers, it can neutralize the damage threat for stock and to an extent the Blood Doctor. Vaccinators and other Rejuvis are pretty much on even ground, and the Kritzkrieg, yeah, no. If you're caught, you're pretty much dead. Even with the flaws it has, I still love using it, especially the Uber, since there are just so many instances of enemies attacking me while it's active, completely unaware of its presence, and when they die, they ask how I'm still alive. Though I will admit it's not very noticeable, as the heal ring effect that normally appears once it's active is pretty hard to see at a distance, especially when compared to TF2 and older versions of TC2, where it's a lot more noticeable. Even then, it's still on them for not hearing the sound of the Rejuvi's Uber at point blank. Outside of that, it's just my default preference of mediguns, unless another medigun is necessary for the game mode. That way I'm able to give my team a good chance at pushing up past a choke point in order to secure a point or the win. The reason why I don't use any of the other miniguns aside from stock is because of these reasons. Blood Doctor is not my cup of tea, and I even have a collector's of it for some reason. Vaccinator is just kinda dumb balance-wise, and the Kritzkrieg? Screw this thing. It's quite nice just having the ability to instantly get everyone back up to full health in seconds, as well as having a consistent rate of charge building. However, the issues I have with this are not about the weapon itself, but more so being a doctor in general. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm about to go on a bit of a rant about playing doctor because there's just so much you have to deal with when choosing the British man. As many of you know, Doc is easily the most vulnerable class when alone because everything counters it, and everyone will go out of their way to make sure that you are dead. Why? Because a team with the Doc has a greater advantage than a team without one. And when a Doc goes down, the team loses that advantage because now they just lost their easiest and biggest source of healing. Which means that the Doctor is one of, if not the most important teammate to keep alive. But not a lot of people even realize that and just leave them for dead. I cannot tell you how many times I've come across a moment where I'm just minding my own business, healing someone when an enemy gets behind us and starts attacking them. Which is to be expected since you can compare a Doc with a patient to that of a steel eel from Salmon Run. Take out the pallet in the back and the rest of it goes down. I tried calling out for help to get my patient's attention, but they're so stupidly unaware of what's going on behind them that by the time they do, I'm already dead. Or they're already dead if it's something like an agent that goes for the patient first. I mean, come on. Situational awareness, people! Where is it? It seriously feels like I'm the only one with functioning eyes and ears when I play Doc because I'm the only one to notice something targeting me or the sound of an agent decloaking trying to poke me or someone else. And because I'm a Doc, there isn't really much I can do combat-wise. Which is why I've resorted to becoming a pseudo-battle Doc if I'm alone. Because I can't trust my team to keep me safe and kill the flanker shooting at me from 2 feet away. Every time I start a non-attacking round as a Doc, I use my more passive set with the Overdrive and Super Saw, so I can keep up with faster players and quickly pop mega heals when needed. Which is why 75 is my favorite number as a Doc, because one Super Saw swing and you have Uber ready to pop. During the match, I see how my team is doing, and if they're doing well and trying to keep me alive when I can't do so by myself, then it's all good. However, if a round starts and I realize that that's not the case, then that's when I realize, good lord, I'm surrounded by idiots! Do I gotta do everything myself? And whip out the calcium cannon and cleaver. I've had games where I've hit the hundreds in score, but still lose because my team can't do jack squat, even with a Doc. And don't even get me started on teammates who start complaining that our Doc isn't doing anything to help. I can't heal you if you keep throwing yourself into danger by yourself outside of where I can safely heal you, or if I keep dying to a flanker or agent that I can't deal with alone. How about you try sticking with your team and prepare for a push when I have a supercharge ready, and look around for ambushers, you reckless idiots! Sometimes I even wonder if it's better to stay as a Doc so they still have access to healing, or go Trooper if it's available with a banner in order to keep the enemies at bay and even secure a win. Because no matter what class I like to play, I like to be a team player. Okay, rant's over. That may all be infuriating to me, but that's just stuff that's gonna happen. And the sooner you realize that and shift your attitude towards it, you will have a much better mental control over change, which will allow you to improve yourself in anything, really. I started maining Doc because I like healing people, and I wanted to be someone that people can rely on if things are getting dicey and we need a bit of support. Which is why I dedicate so much time to the Rejuve for its ability to heal faster, so I'm able to keep as many people alive as possible. The main thing I really need to work on is knowing the exact time to pop an Uber and when to fall back, because by the time I try to do so, it's usually a bit too late. I'm probably gonna still use the Dairy Dazzler over the Overdrive or Stock for self-defense and putting out fires now that arsonists are a bigger threat with their flamethrowers finally being fixed. But the melee is tricky. Stock has the highest damage to swing speed ratio of the saws that I like to use, as well as giving free health packs and extra healing from them. Super Saw gives a quarter of Uber from non-Ubered or disguised enemies, Amputator gives AoE healing and extra regeneration, and the Pestilence Poker is pretty good for dealing with agents because of the increased knockback. So I may mix and match with them and see what works best for me. As for the Rejuvi itself, it's fine as is, though if I were to make a change to it, it would actually be to give the self-overheal on Uber and make the effect a lot more visible. But that's everything I've got for the Rejuvi. Overall, a good medigun, especially when you just want to heal faster without the stock crossbow. Let me know what I should do next in the comments, and tell me what you think of the Rejuvenator. With that, thanks for watching this episode of Typical Opinions.